Find more questions and study at your own pace on our website. The link will be in the description. Let's get started. Question 1. Your company has several departments. Each department has a number of virtual machines. The company has an Azure subscription that contains a resource group named RG1. All VMs are located in RG1. You want to associate each VM with its respective department. What should you do? Option A. Create Azure management groups for each department. Option B. Create a resource group for each department. Option C. Assign tags to the virtual machines. Option D. Modify the settings of the virtual machines. The answer is option C. To associate each virtual machine with its respective department in Azure, you should use tags. Tags in Azure are name-value pairs that can be assigned to resources such as virtual machines. By assigning tags that correspond to department names, you can easily categorize and identify which VMs belong to which departments without needing to modify the existing resource group structure or VM settings. Question 2. You have 5 Azure virtual machines that run Windows Server 2016. The virtual machines are configured as web servers. You have an Azure load balancer named LB1 that provides load balancing services for the virtual machines. You need to ensure that visitors are serviced by the same web server for each request. What should you configure? Option A. Floating IP to disabled. Option B. Session persistence to client IP. Option C. Protocol to UDP. Option D. Idle timeout to 20. The answer is option B. To ensure visitors are serviced by the same web server for each request, you should configure session persistence to client IP. This setting, also known as source IP affinity, ensures that traffic from the same client IP address is routed to the same backend instance, providing consistent service to the user across multiple requests. Question 3. Your company's Azure subscription includes Azure virtual machines that run Windows Server 2016. One of the VMs is backed up every day using Azure Backup Instant Restore. When the VM becomes infected with data encrypting ransomware, you are required to restore the VM. Which of the following actions should you take? Option A. You should restore the VM after deleting the infected VM. Option B. You should restore the VM to any VM within the company's subscription. Option C. You should restore the VM to a new Azure VM. Option D. You should restore the VM to an on-premise Windows device. The answer is option C. If a VM becomes infected with data encrypting ransomware, it's essential to restore the VM to a secure and clean environment to ensure the malware is completely eradicated. Restoring the VM to a new Azure VM provides a fresh and uncontaminated environment, effectively reducing the risk of any remnants of the ransomware affecting the restored VM. This approach also avoids the risk associated with restoring to another potentially compromised VM within the subscription. Question 4. You have an Azure subscription that contains a web app named WebApp1. You need to add a custom domain named www.contoso.com to WebApp1. What should you do first? Option A. Create a DNS record. Option B. Add a connection string. Option C. Upload a certificate. Option D. Stop WebApp1. The answer is option A. To add a custom domain to an Azure web app, the first step is to create a DNS record. This involves mapping the custom domain name to the web app using either a CNA record for subdomains or an A record for root domains. This mapping ensures that when users enter the custom domain in their browsers, the DNS system directs them to the correct Azure web app. Question 5. You have an Azure subscription named Subscription 1. You have 5 terabytes of data that you need to transfer to Subscription 1. You plan to use an Azure import-export job. What can you use as the destination of the imported data? Option A. An Azure Cosmos DB database. Option B. Azure Data Lake Store. Option C. Azure Blob Storage. Option D. Azure Data Factory. The answer is option C. The best option for transferring 5 terabytes of data to an Azure subscription through an Azure import-export job is Azure Blob Storage. Azure Import and Export service allows you to securely import large amounts of data by shipping disk drives to an Azure data center, and data can be imported directly into Azure Blob Storage or Azure Files. Therefore, among the given options, Azure Blob Storage is the suitable destination for the imported data. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to check out our website where you can find more questions for this exam. The link will be in the description. Thank you for watching and good luck on your exams.